I need to get the high quality one stream going as well. This is recording at 60 FPS. What I want, but doesn't really matter. It'd just be a little smoother than a normal thing or something. So you have Blender installed when you first load up. So this is of course what it starts out looking like inside here. So we're going to be changing around a couple basic things at first before moving on from this section here. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the Blender render up here on the top and switch it over to Cycles Render. This is a default rendering solution that I always use. I do it. Oh, one other thing I needed to do. You don't have to do this, but it's me. It's casting keys. So you can see what's going on. So everything I do, you can see in the bottom left. In case you're confused and you need to go back and see what's being done, or in case I forget to describe exactly what's going on. Alright, okay. So right click on the cube in the center, you're gonna hit X and delete that for now. You do the same with the spotlight up here as well. We don't need that. And two other things to change around is right click and select the camera here. If you're not at the top here, scroll up, grabbing it or using your mouse wheel. Set the X and Y, or X and Z to 0, and the X on rotation to 90, and the Z to 0 on rotation. So when you hit that, it's right in the center. And the next thing we're going to be doing is adding a UV sphere. So Shift A, put a UV sphere. And before you rotate it so the front of it is facing the camera, we're going to change the number of rings that are in here. So on the left side here, if it's not up, by the way, hit T. That'll bring that up. Go over here to rings and change that to 32. Well, I hit 32. Hit enter. That means there's the same number of rings as there are segments. And then for shading, we're going to hit smooth. That'll make the thing all nice and smooth looking. Now we're also going to rotate this thing. So R, oh, wrong button. R and X. Now this actually locks it, as you can see right here, on the X axis. And we're going to rotate it by 90. So R, X, the new 90 on the keyboard, and enter. And that way, hit tab, you'll notice that you'll see it here. It's in the center. So yay, now I got this all centered, and when you go into the camera, hitting 0 on the number pad, it'll look like this. So it's right in front of the camera, and easier to set up, you could say. So hitting tab, you'll see here it has the whole thing selected, so we don't want that now, and so you hit A and that'll unselect it all. If you're in the camera, just hit 0 again to pull it out, and hit 1 to look at it from the center. And you can zoom in and out using the mouse wheel. And if you hit 5, it'll turn it to ortho perspective. I personally don't always edit with this as well. When the camera's in the way, we could always move that to another layer, I guess, if we want to, but it doesn't really phase. We just leave it in perspective here, like it shows up here, front perspective. Now we're going to want to select the section, the primary section of the eye. That means the center and several layers. So unselecting all, if you have anything selected, just remove it by hitting A a couple times. Hold down Alt, right click the inner circle. You can even select the second one. It's actually kind of fine because we're going to get multiples of these selected all around. So, but after selecting one of the whole rings around here, make sure you select also the side of the ring, not the center of it, because the center of it could go up and down like so, like you. So hold down Alt, select there, and you'll go all around the ring. Hold down Control, plus, 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 several times, so you've got the very center and several of the selections around here. Now we're going to change this around a little bit by, oh, hold on, I might have messed it up a little. So Go back and unselect all. Now before we select all that, actually I want to make a whole new ring, so that would be holding down Control R, and you want this to be basically where you want it to end around. So put it near the edge that you want it at, and then you just left click to verify that's where you want it. A to unselect, and then hold Alt, right click on the inner ring, Control plus. Now this whole section here we're going to invert. So in order to do this, to select hit S, Y, -1. Now it kind of looks like, you know, the gun for the Death Star itself, and you're going to grab the Y-axis, which is green right here, and pull it in just ever so slightly. That's going to be the intersection of the ring. Now we're going to want to duplicate this to make the actual lens for it. So in order to do that, Shift D, hit enter. Now we're going to invert this also by hitting S, Y, -1 again. So we're going to do this twice. You can leave this one here for the pupil, honestly, and just kind of move that in right here where the smallest ring is just visible. So that will become the actual pupil itself. We're going to label this. Over here, are you going to come over here and select the materials node so we can get this set up properly. Right now the first one is for all of it. Hit new, and we're going to label this just I in general. Now make this simple so we can just select the pupil whenever we're going to add that right now. So we're going to add another node here under the material section. Hit new, label it pupil, enter, tell it to assign. So if you go to I and tell it to select, we'll do that. Pupil, select it. You see it has the whole thing there. So if you hit A, you'll select it and it'll just have the pupil itself. So you go to I, go to select. Now go to pupil, tell it to deselect, go back to I, and tell it to assign. So now when you select it, it shouldn't have the whole thing. Yeah, see? The pupil's not selected. If you look in the inside here, you can see that too. Alright. Now, we're going to change a couple more things. It's not going to be this second, but it will be coming along. Let's go back to the pupil itself. Unselect all with A in the center. You already still have it there, and just select the pupil itself. We're going to duplicate this again and pull it out. Make it just slightly bigger than what it was, so it just covers the outside of the eye. Now this is going to be the lens of the eye. I'm going to need another material again. New, label it lens, and tell it to assign. Select up. Select. Alright. Now we want to hide this lens for the time being. So I'll have to select that over here. Move the cursor back over to the viewfinder viewport here. Hit H. Alright. Now we also want to assign the iris itself on the eye. So I should have done this earlier. I usually do the materials earlier, but I just forgot to do it. Doing it a little roundabout way. So if you next time you're doing this, just remember, set up the materials first. It'll save you a lot of hassle later. Select one of the rings here, Alt right click, Control plus plus plus. Should have all that selected. Yes, it does have all that selected. And we're gonna do, oops, wrong button. Control plus one more time. And add another one. New for the material and label it Iris. We might change the final outer section of the iris to just be a little darker like it is for in general with eyes, but just for the time being we're just going to leave it as the regular iris and tell it to assign. So now we're going to unselect it with A, I, select, okay, everything should be fine. I'm just verifying pupil, select, iris, select. Now I'm going to unhide the lens to verify. So the Alt on the viewport here, Alt H, and unselect with A, and with the lens select. Awesome. So these materials are set up where we have to change them around to the nodes, but that'll be done. Actually, it could be done now. Oh, that making an eye actually is pretty quick overall. In the very end and grand scheme of things. So yeah, now we're gonna go move over to the material nodes. So I'm going to go here and we're going to view it in the viewport real quick after I modify the scene itself. So in order to make it a little easier to see, come over here on the top right, go to the render section. I'm gonna set it to border, so when you render it'll only render what's inside the border area. And we're gonna set the film to transparent so there's no actual background itself. Compression here will be set to 90. That's only for export when you're done, so it'll save as much space as possible for the PNG for having any information in the general data you don't need, because it's going to be transparency. It's got a lot of data that could actually remove and compress it as much as possible to reduce file sizes. Okay. Now we're ready to view this, and I'm going to use my graphics card here. This is one of the reasons also for, of course, using the Cycles render. Set it over to GPU, and now on the viewport, go down here, and you will see it's set to solid. We're going to set it to rendered, and you'll see the whole thing's just kind of blah. It's just there. Alright. Now we're going to open up another section in Blender. So we're going to go to the top right, and we're going to drag this out. And now you can see there are two viewports. We're going to use T to hide this side because we don't need that open anyway. And maybe just zoom in a little here. So now on the right viewport side, we're going to change this over at this little box down here on the left. And to go to node editor. This is where all the magic, you could say, is going to happen. Okay. What is this on? Let's check the material node. Alright, this is on lens. That's a good start, because, well, the general eye itself, it's, you know, the eye, so you're not gonna have to really worry about the diffuse unless you go to a little more advanced things, which I'm gonna show you some basic tricks that you can use. We're going to start with the lens. Go over here. Now, we don't want diffuse at all, because, well, an eye's not gonna be diffused on the lens or whatnot. So we're gonna delete that. It's gonna be black. Now search for glass. That there. Then how to do that is Shift A and click search. Glass. That down. Shift A again, and we're gonna want transparent. Now if you just do trans, you'll don't look down, make sure you don't get translucent, make sure it actually does transparent. That there. And we need one more thing, and that's to mix them together. So we need a mix node. So Shift A, search for mix shader, put that there. Alright. Find these and put them together, and that makes it glass. And you can't really tell because the very inside of it is still all white. Change that. We're gonna go to the pupil real quick, go to diffuse and change to whatever. Oh no, that's the pupil. We're gonna make that black. So when you go to the color on the pupil, just select it and make it black. And go to the iris to change the whole iris area inside here. And under diffuse, change that over to the primary color you want. Oh no, I think the whole thing just crashed on me. Come on, are you kidding me? Oh no, it must be... No, yeah, I'm doing a high quality recording too. That might be why. Whoops. Oh no, the whole thing crashed. Burn. Node editor. Ugh. Alright. There we go. We're back to where we were. Pretty much, other than just changing the couple things around again. Lens. Delete the diffuse with X. Add. Shift A. Search. Glass. Shift A. Search. Mixer. Shift A. Search. Transparent. Make sure you don't select translucent. That under shader. That there. Put it under. Take the mixer. Add it to surface. The iris. Change the color to what you want. Share with diffuse. It's good. That's good. Pupil. Black. Select the diffuse color. Change it to black. Eye. Leave it on white. And that should be good. Hey, Burgaker. I guess that's how you say it. I'm sorry if I completely butchered that. I probably did. Alright, so you look, that's a basic eye. You know, you got all the colors with it. You know, big tab here, remove that. Change it from under object mode down here on the viewport shading, and we're going to change that to material. Now we want a light source. Yeah, we definitely want a light source, so let's... The cursor's not in the... 3D cursor is not in the center there. Shift C will put it into the center. So Shift A, we're going to add a light. So go to lamp, go to point. We're going to pull that out. And just like move it over maybe a little bit. Let's take a look. And you're going to see that it's all those fairies that show up on it. But we're going to fix that some. Under the render section here, if you want to do just simple, we're going to change the clamp direct and the clamp indirect. We're going to change that to 30 for in general. This is under the sampling and the render section here. And then we're going to go to light paths. We're going to change it to direct light. Selective caucuses, shadows. Should look alright. I don't know why it's showing fairies there. It shouldn't in the final render. We're gonna take a quick look in just a minute. The light, also change the shadowing so it's not so harsh. So change the strength to 500. Yeah, there we go. All right. The glass, that's part of the problem. I'm gonna have to change that in the glass and stuff. This is also why you want a light source there. So you can start changing that in there. And we're going to be adding a gloss shader as well to the general eye itself. So now, after adding the light source, again, you're going to go to the light source tab here on the top right. Go to strength 500. We're going to leave the size to 0.1. We shouldn't need to change it. It looks pretty alright, unless you want not as harsh shadows, which then you'll be changing the size here to like 0.5, and you see it gets a bit smoother. Alright, now to change the actual glass itself, we need to go back to the node editor. So on the right side here, go back down to the box and change it back to the node editor. And we need to select the eye, so if you already have this unrendered, it's fine. You can just still just go over and right click on it. And under the materials tab here, if you're not selected again, select on it here. Go to lens. Now, if you want it harsh on the eye, that's fine. You can leave it like that. I mean, you make the final render, it's gonna. What we're gonna change primarily is the roughness, and you can see it makes it smoother and such. 1.5 or 4.5 is all right. You should put it like 1.25 in the indent of reflection, the IOR, and if, you know, again, makes it a little smoother, makes it not as prominent or heavy on the eye itself. But we also need to get it on the primary section of the eye, so that's a little glossy as well in case, you know, a light source goes over it. So now we're going to change the actual eye section itself here, up here. So select the eye material. We already have the diffuse here. We're going to leave that as it is. And what we're going to do is add a mixer. So Shift A, search, mix. And all you need is drag it up here and it'll mix it there. Then Shift A again, search, gloss, and we put it right here. Thought I deleted the other. Oh, did I delete the other spotlight? No, I didn't delete it. Ah, okay. So I need to delete that. I forgot to do that when I reloaded it. So go back to 3D view down here. See, I got that lamp up there. Delete. Alright. This should be pretty much, unless you want to change how the gloss is when it transitions from the lens over. We're going to do that real quick here also. So let's rotate our Z to rotate on the Z axis only and see how it comes up. See, that's way too large. So we're going to have to modify that. So come back down here, back to the node editor, and yeah, there we go. The roughness, turn that down a bit. Turn it up, and we're also going to change the factor on the mixer so it's more onto the diffuse. So you get a general, you know, brighter eye. So this is a basic eye. It's nothing fancy. It's like I said, it's nothing fancy, nothing big or anything like that. I'm going to center this again. Put it over and RZ just to verify how well it goes over. Both sides. Now I'm going to go over a couple extra things for doing this, and that is how to get the actual pupil itself to grow larger and smaller as you do for a basic animation. And then I'll also cover. Oops, do that. Shouldn't have done anything anyway. So do that, and then getting a general design in the eye itself for around the iris, because you know an eye isn't just basic one color. If you're doing, you know, just a cartoonish thing only, and you just want to do very simplistic, this is very simplistic, and you're not gonna have to worry about it. So alright, the pupil, making it larger. Alright, if you're not already on a standard viewport on the right side, go ahead and swap it off the node editor back to 3D view, and we're going to edit this. Kind of moving into the maximum that it changes up, so I need to change that. Now if you get a zoom in and it's like this and you can't really change it around, the easiest to get this fixed up, hold down shift and hit plus a couple times and zoom in and out to work it. Alright, now I need to modify it again. Oh, actually, good thing I checked. This isn't perfect either. So hit tab, take us back into editing, Alt H to re-show that. Now, to make sure you only have it selected, also hit A to unselect. Go to lens, tap to select, and if it's a little off the eye itself, just pull it in. There you go. It's back properly, fully on. Then now we're gonna hide it again. And get out of the edit here by hitting tab. And now we're going to swap this over to the data here. Shape keys. This is how we're going to make a basic movement on the pupil itself. When you hit it once, it goes to the basis. Here, I think if you hit tab, no, you can't edit it. Alright, hit it again, it'll have key 1. I'll go back into edit with tab, go to the materials, select the pupil, tap the select, and pull that out. As large as you want to be able to do it. Now if you notice here, it didn't change at all. You'll see why in a second. So, hit tab again, and go back to here on the data for the shape keys, and you check this value right here. And you see if you modify it, it changes the size of the pupil. So there. With that, you've got the full change on the eye itself. But you've got to change the full size on the pupil for animation if you want to be able to make it really large and things like that, or make it smaller in the things that you're doing. Alright. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, now, the other thing I wanted to, last thing I wanted to cover would be adding some more tricks for colors and such in the materials, the iris, and the eye itself. So, this is back to the node editor. So, back down here, node editor, we're going to start with the iris itself. We're going to move the whole thing over here so it's got more room. In general, excuse me, had a cough. Alright. Shift A, search, color, and we're going to select the color ramp here. And when you add it here, you'll see the only thing it does is change that off. Now we don't want to select it right away, so select the diffuse first, the color and the diffuse, and we want to go over to the hex and copy the hex here before doing this over here. So now you can connect them if you want, and select the light side so it shows here, and we're going to change the hex in here over, and Control V to paste the hex in there, hit enter, and you'll see the only thing it does is make it dark. And do that at all, change that. So that's not all we're going to do. So we're going to add another node, Alt A, search. We're going to search noise, the noise texture, put it here, put it in there, and there we go. I changed the detail, didn't think it was detail 5, and we're going to change the scale a little bit. And take the dark, change where the darkness goes so it has a bit more contrast between the two, and there it sets a texture inside there. This is without having to go in, like, say, Photoshop or GIMP and making a full custom custom setup and such in there. Detail 0, yeah, that's what I thought. I want the higher detail in there. So you can mess around with the noise in there. It even change, of course, how dark you really want it compared to this. So if you select the dark side and you just want to have the same generic color, you can do that and then darken it off that so it doesn't go quite so hard or heavy. And you would, of course, do the same here then for the eye. Drag all this stuff over again so you got more room to work with it. Shift A, select color, Shift A, search, noise, texture, and just drag them over together. And general eye, you're not going to want it as much because I'm probably not going to see quite as much of a heavy change to it. Though you do see possibly a little bit, but then you're not going to have it so heavy on the eye. So I'd say this is it. There's nothing else I'm really going to have to cover on it. And if any of you have any questions though, feel free to ask. I mean, just go to render and do a base render. Oh, I'm not gonna collect the noise because it'll probably honestly kill it. So yeah, quick render, see how it goes. Hopefully my computer doesn't freak out. My FPS dropped a little bit for that little time making the whole eye. Now this is just going to be a start. I might go do some more in, like, say, GIMP later when I'm making this for my character that I'm going to be designing to just use in the channel and whatnot while I learn the animations and things like that. Is there anything else you could do with this? Actually, yeah, there's one other thing you could do. Swap this back over to rendered so you can see this, because I want you to be able to see it while I do this, and that's going to the modifiers. We're going to add a little subdivision surface here. So again, under modifier, looks like the wrench, add modifier, subsurf, and we're going to add just one subsurf to it just to make it a little more round. As you see, again, we're gonna have to go in here and change that, but before we do that, I'm gonna have to remove the keys, other than just leave it at basics, because we don't need the people getting moved along with it. Just need to make this a little bigger. Just fine. Get larger, hit H, hit tab, another shape key. Let's select the pupil. But if you do it too large, you're going to end up with it being a little more off than you want it to be. Basics. I didn't have to delete that, so that was just stupid. That's a little too big, actually, so there we go. Should be good. Up. I could try to hit the whole thing. That's what I meant to do. Blend, select, hide. Okay, that's good. Just wanted to make sure that that is actually good. And go here and modify. If you do the subsurf too high, you'll start getting creases around here. I mean, if you want like some kind of a cool effect for like a different looking character, an alien or something, sure, that'd be great. But if you just want just a general human eye or humanoid eye, then that's it. All right. I think that really covers it. And thanks for coming and watching this first tutorial. I mean, I'm gonna try to keep this between 10 and 20 minutes long, unless I'm just on messing about in general. Then I might just be streaming, maybe not talking so much or something. And hope you actually learned something from this. Thanks for coming and watching. If you're not subscribed or following, please hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed what you saw here. And I hope to see you back for more and bring you more content. And have a good day, guys. Later.